Hello, world. Welcome to IBM TV. I'm your host for Celebrity Tuesdays. This is the Henning Morales Hour, and where we're talking about some of the best movies ever made for teenagers to inspire good mental healthy decisions. And in the house today, we have Henning Morales. Hello, Henning.
Hello, Kimberly. How are you today?
Oh, I'm just, my spirits are up. The sun is shining. It's just been an energizing day. How about you?
Doing well today, Kimberly. Excited to share everything that's going on. There's been so much happening over the past several days. Just very exciting stuff.
Yes, and we also have Michelle. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, it's just one of those great days. Oh, where'd Henning go?
Uh-oh.
So just, like Star Trek, we beam in and out around.
Yes, I see. You're beaming in and out all day long, right?
This is Spooky Tuesday. So Casper's back in. Here we go, beam back in. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Michelle, how are you today?
I am well.
You got a new hairstyle?
Just gotta shake it up a little bit.
I like it. It looks really nice.
He doesn't have his director's hat on. That's why.
No, that's why I see the hair. So, yeah, the hat makes you look like a kid sometimes. So anyway.
Okay, I always process. I don't know what that means.
No, it just makes you look younger.
Where's that hat? Where's that hat? Quick!
Yeah.
I feel like a kid. I feel like I really do. I hang around all these young kids all the time, and I'm telling stories about teenagers and young adults, and teaching life lessons to my kids, and playing football every morning with my 11-year-olds, and a baseball tournament this weekend out in Arizona. So I'm always hanging around kids. So I guess I'm just a big kid.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got the challenge of juggling all of that during a challenging time, trying to encourage the kids that, this is a different way of life, but you're juggling the schools and everything, but you're still producing movies. You are still out there. We're still monetizing on it. You've got this great movie that we watched the other day, and Hero, which I love. I love everything about it. It's got a lot of emotions in making the tough decisions teenagers have to make.
Oh, thank you for that, and thank you for being on our initial screening. We had only those people. And Hero is, for those of you guys who don't know the story, and Hero is a young adult teen adventure, if you will, 36 minutes long. And it is really the subject matter is a teen who is contemplating suicide, unfortunately, and it's a topic that is hard. It's hard to really tackle this topic in a positive way. It is so sad when you hear these stories. Every story is sadder than the next. You gotta just kind of understand the phenomenon and the dilemma that we're facing here with this issue. But at the same time, the positive comes from knowing that the people who watch this movie, first of all, is going to inspire some kids, because the actors we have these characters who are these hero, even though they're kind of troublemaker characters, they're heroes in how they behave and how they handle situations. And at the same time, it encourages a discussion of the issue, which is really the ultimate goal for those of us who are out of that young adult phase. And so you have both goals here, and based on those goals, we have really had such a positive response. And also, don't forget that our goal is to entertain first. We always want to make these fun, exciting, and musically driven. This is just like the music in this movie is it just goes all day. And I want to show you guys a trailer. That you haven't seen before. You have not seen this trailer. This is brand new. This is not final, so we're going to show it and then delete it and then pretend you never saw it. because it's going to be updated a little bit. But I want to show it because it's so cool, and it gives the it touches on what people are going to see in the movie, and then also I want to encourage everyone to come on tomorrow night on movie night. We're going to do a worldwide debut. We will have over 100 people on that one watching our debut, and then we're going to make it available through a distribution channel come November. It looks like we're gonna debut it during the American film market as a celebration of the American film market and the movie industry in the United States. I think Johan is on, and this also is a good segue for Johan to showcase him, because he did such a great job in this film, and he'll be focused more on, once I jump, you guys can focus more on Johan and me. We can just, there he is. What's up, baby? What's up, baby?
How's it going?
Welcome. And
why don't we welcome Johan first, and then we'll show the trailer. Why don't you do a proper, Johan, you need a little more light on you, man. Can you, can you lighten up? So while Johan is lightening up, I'll cue up the trailer. Maybe Kimberly, Michelle, you can bring Johan on properly. And
there's always, first off, I want to just announce everyone, Johan from the movie that Henning Morales has produced. There you go.
All right. I like that.
We don't have enough of that, right? We don't have enough of the claps and the cheers. And Henning, when I come and join in on your programs, I'm always trying to send the clap. I don't know if you see it, but I'm always doing that little clap button down there.
I do. The clap. Keep coming.
Yeah, but that's, I think, something that the actors and the entertainers of the world are missing right now, is that interactive love, right? To hear all of that. Johan, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm in Northern California right now, so that's why my scenery's completely changed. But I was able to, finagle, and get a webcam and everything like that. So
awesome.
Sorry about the lighting.
No, you look good. You look good now. That's what you did. It's looking good. All right, let me show you this trailer here. First of all, let me give Johan Johan Hill a proper intro. Johan is a very fine young man. He's a good person all the way around. He's a mentor. He's a coach. He loves the story. Loves the storyline. And when Johan read for a role, it was for a different role. It wasn't for this role in Anhero, and it also wasn't for Hit or Twist. But I always remembered how he interviewed and how he auditioned, I should say. And I said, man, there's something about this kid that I really like, And when it came time to come on and on to potentially Hit or Twist and be play the Brandon character, I basically thought of him. He read, and he just killed it, and he does such a great job as Brandon. So authentic. He plays a burglar, but a burglar that has maybe some redeeming characteristics and qualities. And then when it came time to do Anhero, we were looking for this Bobby character, who is actually a stellar, how should I say, a mentor in this movie. And then we're going back and forth. We had everyone else cast. So we couldn't get the right person for it. And finally, we said, well, let's let Johan read for this. And he read, and it just worked out great. So Johan is a good person. He's also a fine actor. And you guys are going to hear more about his story a little bit later. For now, I want to show you this trailer, if that's okay. Kimberly, anything else before I show you this deal here?
No, just, do you have a share screen?
I'm gonna do it the way I know how now. I think I figured this out from last time. So
all right.
I am going to I'm going to share my whole screen here. That's how I'm going to do it. Share audio. There you go. And I'm going to get into my be careful. Got it. Okay, I got it. I'm being very careful. And there you go. You guys see my video?
Oh, hold on.
Yes.
Just make it.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
All right, here we go. Johan hasn't seen this, and I think Michelle saw an iteration of it. So maybe let's get their reactions as well. This is the Anhero trailer. Here you go. Oh, no, hold on. That's the whole movie. Well, I can't show you that. Hold on one second. No. That's not good.
That's for tomorrow.
I can't show you the whole movie.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you guys wouldn't come tomorrow night. There's
Yeah,
a trail.
I'm gonna-
I got my popcorn.
Maybe we'll show the whole movie one of these Tuesday mornings. Why not? So here's your screen here. Okay, let me try it again.
Okay.
You guys still see my screen?
Yes,
Yes,
we're
yeah.
for it.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
There we go. Come on, full screen. Let's go. There we go. All right.
I'm gonna give you something personal.
Look at all the hell you've been raising.
Don't even think about coming over here. Keep it to yourself. You're the only one who knows. Stop looking at me that way.
Yeah, you should have told someone.
When I tell you I told you so, don't tell me I didn't tell you so.
Why do you care what he thinks? What's the matter with you?
Listen, bitch. No action up here. This is your final detective speaking. Do you want to take off and run for the character?
What are you guys doing here?
Wow.
Oh, don't worry. That's Barack Obama's cousin. All right, so we're going over there.
Uh-oh.
Okay, you can take the screen back now.
That's what I'm gonna do. Hold on just a second. I'm directing by myself today. Yay! But wow, and Henning, I'm just going to tell you, there's a moment in there that just impacted me so hard. I still get kind of teary-eyed when I think about it, because I think we've all, especially as teenagers, have been there at some tough decisions, and it's very hard to make that. But it's the decisions we make that have no regrets. And I'm not going to ruin it. I'm not going to say which scene that impacts me the most. I'll share with you guys behind scenes. But because I want to hear from other people when this movie launches, what impacts them. It's kind of like when you look at a piece of art, right? But Johan, how do you feel about playing the person that you're playing? I mean, that's a tough act.
Right. So, when we approach the character, Henning was kind of talking to me about, this kind of, I mean, Brandon, he's calculating, he's very, I don't want to say stiff, but he's not cold necessarily. There's similarities, but a character like this, he's more free flowing. He's more, quippy. He's more but he still has a heart. You know what I mean? And I think that's what's so cool about Henning's writing is every single character, they're not perfect, of course, but they have these qualities that just really give them, heart and soul. And so when playing that type of character, when you approach that, you kind of have to approach it from, when I read the script, you can do it one way, you can play it and there's a million right ways, to do it. But the way that we chose, really, I think it's just being authentic. I think that was the key, which is not as easy as it sounds to do sometimes on film.
Right. It's very, very tough to portray a person who is at that breaking point right? That just, you know, and the decisions that are made. How is there anything when you play a role like this that helps you get in the mood to do some of these scenes?
Well, as an actor, that's what we get paid to do is on cue. I mean, we might be joking around or something like that behind the camera, and sometimes you immediately you have to go into a different emotional state. And I mean, Henning knows sometimes I will, and a lot of actors do this. When we get nervous, we'll start laughing. You know what I mean? We'll go into a laughing fit. Or something like that,
Henning, that's easy.
Right. Well, yeah. But I mean, but it'll be like doing like a really serious scene or something,
Well,
one that particularly comes to mind, you see in the trailer where I'm grabbing Justice. No one noticed apparently, but I had a little. There was a little bit of a laugh there, and Justice played it off perfectly. I mean, he reacted perfectly, and it got me back in. But to answer your question, a little bit more straightforward, there's nothing really that I do to prepare other than learn your lines, talk with the director, rehearse, talk to the actors. That's the only real way you can prepare for something like this.
Well,
Yeah.
first of all, Johan, what's interesting is having when Johan is playing a particular part of the role where it's totally out of his character. Like for him having to walk up to the Lucas character and grab him by the shirt and basically challenge him to a fight. That's hard to. You okay? My boys are here. They're going to school at home.
Yay!
What's going on in the world here? My boys are going to school at home. What's going on here? Okay, so
Back into character.
for him to be out of his own personality so far, it's true. I knew that it was coming. That he was either going to quiver or he was going to chuckle. So we purposely held the camera and held on the grab until he had a straight face.
Right.
I mean, because when you're doing this with someone you really like, right? It's kind of hard to pick that. That's why I'm saying, how did you
when you're with someone you like, it's easier. Like everyone in the cast likes each other. When everyone likes each other, it's actually easier to do more intense scenes. More. I think we did. I mean, that scene. I think we got some really good takes of intensity. Partially because the pressure. There's a little bit of pressure because we had to go to another location, but I think that actually liking the other person, you can do more intense scenes and more authentic scenes.
And again, this is where I love what Johan said about preparing and really knowing the character, because once you learn the lines, then it's a question of, okay, who am I in this movie? Like what? And you have to become that person. And it's funny because Johan talks about laughing. He's one of the few people that are allowed to laugh on set. If it's a serious scene, I don't want anyone laughing. Like, come on, guys,
right.
Get with the program, right? So him being a little more experienced and having this process, I'm not as concerned about it. And one of the things that we really do on set is we encourage these actors. A lot of times what the crew will get there early and the actors get there a little bit later. We don't do that. Everyone gets there at the same time. Everyone's in the same boat. And what the actors do, normally they're just hanging around wasting time on set. Because I've been on all kind of movie sets and TV sets, and actors are just wasting time, or they're on their phones, or they're not into what they're doing. And then you see it on screen. What the actors do when we get on set is they rehearse. They go through their lines. They go through their, and even an actor that's not in that scene, I'll still have them come an hour early, just because there's always a break. There's always a break time, and you're moving cameras around, you're shifting angles, and that's time to rehearse. That's not time to mess around. That's time to rehearse. And when you do that, you develop a relationship. You develop relationships and you develop trust. The actors trust each other, and you see it. It's so amazing that you see it on set. And it's what John Hughes did. When John Hughes directed a movie, And for those of you guys that don't know, John Hughes is the godfather, if you will, of teen movie making. He is the best of all time. There isn't anyone even comes close to the genre of the young adult genre. He wrote and directed. I'm talking about the movies that he wrote and directed both, not just the movies that he produced. You can see a difference in the movies that he didn't direct. You can see a difference. They're not the same. I'll give you an example. There's John Hughes wrote and directed 16 Candles. John Hughes wrote and directed The Breakfast Club. John Hughes wrote and directed Pretty in Pink. John Hughes wrote and directed Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I mean, the ultimate teen movies like of all time.
Right.
And he also he wrote, but he didn't direct Home Alone. Chris Columbus directed Home Alone, but Chris Columbus is an amazing director. So the one movie that I love that he didn't actually direct. And then he also wrote but didn't direct a movie called Dennis the Menace. Now, how many of you have seen all those other movies? How many have seen Dennis the Menace?
I've seen all the others.
It's awful. It's awful. He wrote it, but it's awful because of how the actors interact with each other. You can see the difference. And what he did was he made sure that the actors spent time with each other on and off set, so that they could develop that chemistry. And it's something that you can't fake it. The reason why Breakfast Club was such an awesome movie, and it's the ultimate teen movie of all time, in my opinion, one of the main reasons is because they had one set, and they were all basically they lived at that set. Now, they didn't live in the set, but they didn't move around to different locations. They were on one set the whole time. If you remember, that whole movie took place in a school, and that school was they had to build part of it, but it was done in an actual school. And those actors got to know each other really well. And then when you see them in those scenes, it's as if they know each other, and they do. So I wanted to emphasize that. And I know Johan's going to take over a little bit more. There's been more questions for Johan in a second. I want to get kind of my part out of the way. So when you approach this subject matter, and it's so serious that it was hard, because normally we want people to be comfortable and joking around and in between scenes and doing. I don't want any of that. I want everyone to stay sad throughout the whole thing, and it's hard to do that when people are just happy, positive people. So that's the challenge. But I think that Johan and with Justice and Sean, they became fast friends, and even Tyler, who they only met on Zoom, and then they finally got together. And they didn't actually, Tyler and Justice didn't have a scene together. They talked on the phone originally. Wow. But because we did so many Zoom sessions, and we got them there early, they got a chance to know each other. And then when they did have a scene together, which we added another scene afterwards where they're together, then they already had that rapport that they built. And they're so natural and so believable in those characters. Michelle, what do you think?
I just know, like, being on the set, especially because we were like the pretty faces, and we don't talk about suicide prevention. We know that it happens, and I know I've had friends, I've even experienced it, but actually talking to Henning yesterday, I went and looked at some statistics, and I was just blown away. How suicide prevention, like you said, when we were growing up, this wasn't something we talked about, right? And so then being on the scene when we were filming and so forth, and we had to be sad, and we had to start asking, we had like this fake talking conversation, and we were actually talking about, well, why didn't anybody know? And so you started thinking about, wow, you have a teen, a youth, and if you're not speaking with them, you don't know what they're going through. So it was just, it was an experience that I went through just being on the film, even though we were like acting, I guess you per se, but it really made me reflect of all the teens that, I know, and they may have a smile on their face, but they might be in desperation in the back. So it just really, it opened my eyes just being part of this project.
Well, it's so important. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Kimberly.
Go ahead, Henning.
No. I want to hear what you have to say about that first. I can share in a minute.
I feel like that we are so involved with so many other things in our life that aren't really important, that we overlook maybe the minor checklist of looking at whether a teenager's really healthy or not. Your song, I need to get the words because I'm trying to replay them in my head, but is so dead on to the reality of what teens have to face today. And Henning, I want to say, nobody's really made a good teen related movie since The Breakfast Club. So I think you have built this is the to me that next needed movie for teens. We're facing something very strange and different in the next 2 years, that these teens need something. They need something to lean on to say, yeah, that guy was pretty cool and he had a bad rap and a bad day and things were killing him, but he made the right decision finally. And that's what you're emphasizing is that you can make the right decision. It doesn't have to be dark. But go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, no, those are two really excellent points, and also what Michelle brought up, the fact that we can talk about it, and the fact that parents, what we want parents to do first, we want them to be entertained. That's the first of all. We want them to love it. We want you to just love the music, love the acting, love all the different shots we took. When I get on the floor, when I grab a camera, and I'm not a cameraman, I'm not a shooter at all. When I grab the camera and get on the floor and stand on my head to get an upside down angle, I have never stood on my head. You get the point. I want you to say, wow, that's pretty cool. Or when I run in the middle of the street, because I'm the one because we don't have insurance for anyone else except me running in the middle of the street. When I run down the middle of the street with a camera, yelling and screaming at the actors, and I want people to really enjoy it. I want them to say, wow, this is cool. Just like we did with Ferris Bueller, like we did with The Breakfast Club. And there have been really good teen movies that have come out since. Now I know that's probably not your world looking at those movies. I watch them all, right? And there's been some really good ones, and I really should next time remind me. I'm gonna recognize some really good young adult type movies that I admire over the past couple decades. But the reason I continue to bring up John Hughes is because he did so many, and they all had like a theme to them. They all had a purpose to them. It wasn't like just a debauchery and, Animal House or American Pie. It wasn't just, let's see how raunchy we can get, or let's see how shocking we can get. Let's just have fun, there's a place for that. There's a place to just have fun in a movie and not have to think. And that's what people say sometimes. Well, I want to go to the movies. I don't want to have to think about anything. Well, okay. There are certain movies where you can, where you're going to have that, and that's fine, right? But sometimes, we want to be challenged intellectually, and also we want to send a message, and that's what John Hughes did in every movie. If you think about it, 16 Candles, the nerdy girl with the good-looking jock boyfriend, Ferris Bueller, the friend in Ferris Bueller was basically suicidal. If you watch that movie. The friend, not Ferris. Ferris was just living the moment, and there's a theme to it. There's a theme to all these movies. Breakfast Club was about clicking up and bullying, and it is serious, man. When they get into that dialogue, you're like, oh my God, this kid. And the kid cry when the kid's crying because his friend was bullied, and he's like, these are topics that span generations, and that's why you can watch these movies all these years later and still relate to them, and young adults can still relate to them. That's why I always bring up John Hughes. And so this topic, we've done several films now, and they all have a theme, they all have a message or several messages. And this one is a topic that needs to be talked about. It just needs to be discussed. The parents and the young and the aunts and uncles and grandparents and teachers and educators, what have you. Now for them, it's a question of, as Michelle said, pay attention to what's going on with these kids. And as Kimberly had mentioned, especially now, because, okay, the reason that this, and this is going to get serious for a second, but understand the science behind this and the research. And Kimberly's an educator, and she's on all the boards of the colleges, and so that's why this is one of the shows that I come on consistently, because I know that's where your mind is, where you're coming from, and so I really want to emphasize that the reason that this has become a phenomenon is due in large part to the excessive social media dominance in these kids' lives. So it's the social media on top of the video games, on top of the excess violence, that pull kids out of a normal sense of development of their social skills and their cognitive skills and their thinking ability. And when that happens, then all of a sudden you get kids who don't communicate. It's not a surprise. You get kids that are not making proper decisions because they haven't developed the thought process properly, and they are being influenced by fantasy, by this fantasy world. And then you have poor decisions, and then one of those decisions is suicide. Do you believe that? Suicide. That's such a foreign concept to what kids should be thinking about as kids, right? So what this is going to do, my goal here for the Gen Xers out there, and people who have children in their lives, even children, young adults, any age. Could be older, younger, but really teenagers, right? Just pay attention, because it doesn't take much. I'm telling you this. It wouldn't take much to be a positive influence on a kid's life, or to step in and show that kid some reality, show him some real communication, or show that kid a movie where there's a role model that's probably the coolest kid. Lucas in this movie is one of the coolest cats that exists, right? And to have to see that he's going through this, and then the words primarily from Bobby, which is played by Johan Hill,
Bobby,
masterfully, right? And the words of the mentor sinking in, then it wouldn't take much for the kid to say, man, this makes sense. What I've been thinking doesn't make much sense at all, right? And then having a discussion about it where the actors, and that's what we're going to do tomorrow, the actors are going to be talking about this phenomenon. And all of our actors, except for Johan, are teenagers, right? All of them, right? The rest of the actors, right? Sean is 19, Tyler's 19, Becca's 19. She may have turned 20. She had a birthday. I apologize. I didn't wish her happy birthday. And also Justice is 17. And so we're going to have a roundtable discussion where the actors are going to be talking about this. It's going to get heavy, man. It's going to get heavy, where the actors are talking about the phenomenon. And last but not least, and I'm jumping right now, the last but not least, we only brought actors into this who were like passionate about the subject matter and wanted to do it so they can make a positive impact. So when you feel that energy, you feel it on the screen, but when you feel it in actual discussions, man, how many kids can we help, right? And say, hey, just have a conversation. It's okay. It's cool to have a conversation. These things are going on. And parents, please limit the video games, limit the social media, limit the electronics. The challenge that's happening now, why this is going to get worse before it gets better, unfortunately, I hate to say that, is because now the kids they're getting double doses of electronics. They're staring at a computer screen instead of being in a classroom. We've got to get these kids back in a classroom with live teachers. My kids right now are staring at computer screens. They're downstairs staring at computer screens instead of being in a live classroom with no electronic stimuli. Okay, so get these kids, whatever we can do to get them back into school. And I understand there's issues. I understand health concerns, but you also have to understand the mental health issues that are happening to these kids. And when I say it's going to get worse, it's only going to get worse because now you're doubling up on electronics, and they're still learning. I'm not saying that they're not learning. They're still learning. They're getting the lessons. Listen to this. I was telling my mom this yesterday. They may even be learning better now. They're more focused, right? More focused. There are less distractions from the other kids. I understand that too, but also understand what's happening to these kids mentally as they get older and they don't have that that live interaction. It's going to affect them. And I'm going because otherwise I'll take the whole thing. Johan is up. Ask Johan about his life.
I will.
And put the flyer on the screen so people can you do it, Michelle? So people can come tomorrow night. And I'm going. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Kimberly, see you tomorrow. Ankit, tell Ankit much love.
Thank you for showing up and spreading this.
Okay.
I just want to tell people, get them books. Get them out of electronic and get them books. That's right.
Yes.
Art merchant. I'm going to tell you what, I got mine. I've got a pile of books. Read. You're not reading enough. And, but I agree with you, Henning. We're too much into this. Let's get the kids inspired to do some other things that will build their minds and hearts and bodies. But And Hero is definitely the movie to watch. It will be coming soon. We're going to put up the banner of when people can see this.
All right, guys. See you guys next week.
Johan, take care, Henning.
All right. Bye.
All right, guys. Johan, I'm going to give you the front and center. And you've got an audience here. So let's talk a little bit about your life. Okay, first off, you're one of the older ones on the set. So I guess you're the mentor of all of these young teenagers, but you're not that old. So talk about your life.
Yeah. So what's interesting is I'm 28.
Wow, that is interesting.
Yeah, and so when I was growing up, technology moved so quickly, and it was just so it was crazy. You go from big CRTs and VHSs to little DVDs and then flatter screens, and even in high school, when I started high school, we had flip phones, and then when we ended high school, we had iPhone type things. You know what I mean? And we went from the graphics being in video games being kind of you can tell it's a video game to photorealistic people and things like that. And you mentioned reading, and that's something that I really didn't do when I was little, and that's something I wish I had have done, just because the most important, the thing that it does is it stimulates the imagination and it stimulates creativity. Because when you're reading, you have to process and comprehend the words that you're reading, but then you also have to imagine and envision the subject matter. So let's say you're reading Harry Potter or something. You have to imagine Hogwarts and imagine the spells and imagine this. Or if you're reading a self-help book, you have to have a level of comprehension. But I grew up in Northern California. I went to college in Northern California. I went to Simpson University. And then I relatively recently moved to Southern California to pursue acting and everything like that. And then, my life's not super duper interesting. I got some jobs, I worked for the city of Reading, but I'd say growing up, it was very important that my parents, they were very, my mom was very supportive. I was in a band, when I was in high school, and so my mom was very supportive of that. So she was very supportive of me getting out and doing stuff, not just because I played a lot of video games when I was little, and so she really encouraged me to play my instrument and do other things, do photography. And I discovered acting kind of when I was in middle school. Oh, wow. And I didn't really, you know how it is, that's a dream, blah, 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 blah. And I really took it seriously, in college, maybe 8 or 10 years ago. And I was in plays and, in the college and everything like that. And yeah, that's kind of my life. There's a lot of other details. That's the really short version.
No, but you know what? It gives people an idea. First off, you're still very young at the age of 28, and to be acting and engaged in that industry when it's struggling. So that's huge. You talk about going to college. You did a lot of plays, but what did you study?
So in college, I studied organizational leadership.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, the reason why I chose, I was going to do psychology, but I really like kind of have an affinity for business, you know, and really, and everything like that. But really as I was studying, and as I was doing acting, I'm like, this is like really my thing, is movies and acting. And so it's like, why not? You know, why not? You know, I mean, either you're going to live your dreams or somebody else is going to live your dreams for you, you know?
Right.
I mean, if I weren't acting in this movie, somebody else would, you know. So they you know, there's plenty of people that are just as good and you know, just as talented as I am, and so, you know, why not give it a shot?
No, I have this saying. I wrote a book on how to be a successful startup, but it actually was the elements from my speech to North Carolina State University during their graduation of what it takes to become successful. And in there, I talk about, if you're going to dream big, right?
Yes.
But if you don't pursue it, go back to bed and sleep, because there's no sense in having these big dreams and not pursuing them. Right? Find a way to pursue them, find a way for them to either feed you or find a way to feed it. Right? So you've got to get out there. But, you know, that's what life is. Life is about fulfilling your dreams. And when you talk about all these, you know, I don't want to damper this, but a lot of young people, they hit those roadblocks that they can't get past. And that's what Henning's movies are about. And like you said, you know, that's why, you know, you're in this movie, not somebody else. You're here. Was there an element to this movie that moved you enough that you wanted to be in this movie?
Right. So, really, you know, okay, so how I kind of got into the whole Dirt Merchants thing is, I mean, I was, when I first got to Southern California, I was just auditioning like crazy. You know, I was auditioning. And I'd get something here, something there, you know, and my agent called me, and she's from Canada, and she said, hey, you know, I think you'd be really good for this. You know, you should really audition for this. And it was like, it was in Universal Studios where they were holding the auditions, or somewhere near there. And I mean, I was just it's nothing but rejection. You know, when you're auditioning as an actor, it's nothing but rejection. I mean, it's 99 out of 100 times, you're going to get rejected, even if you're good, even if you're really good. And so I did this, and I didn't think I was going to get it. And I remember I went up the stairs into the audition, and I remember, like, in the middle of my audition, this guy comes in and just kind of throws me off. And, you know, Henning and Jeff were there, and I didn't know them at the time, but I'm like, oh my God, this just ruined my whole thing. And then I just snapped right back into it. And so what moved me, because at first it was just like, okay, hey, it's just another movie, you know, that you're going to be in or whatever. But I think what moved me was like Henning's passion and his persistence and determination to really, you know, get things done, get things, you know, focused, because that's really the key elements of success, is persistence and determination. I mean, yes, you can have a plan, you can be focused, you know, those are really important things as well, and really just giving it 110%. But, you know, persistence is I think is the key thing, you know. And I mean, really empathy too. So Henning's scripts have a lot of elements of persistence, you know, like in Hit or Twist, you know, the main character, he's very persistent. And even my character, there's a level of determination. And so what moved me is it's relatable. I think that's the key. You know, it's not and I'm not saying that there's not a place for this, but it's not like aliens come down and kidnap, you know, people's dogs. You know, it's nothing like that. It's relatable, and, you know, it's real. You know what I mean?
It's human nature. What we're dealing with in the movies that I think Henning deals with, because he puts a lot of things that really happened to him in his life.
Right. Yes.
Right. So, and when you hit those elements, it's like telling your story. So when you come and interview on a TV show and you start sharing your story, people can relate to that.
Yes.
And Michelle knows this too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you're saying, it's the relatability that we have in the films. Like, oh, and so then you don't feel alone, right? You know, like,
Yeah.
oh, someone's experiencing that. Oh, because growing up, we're alone and we don't think things are happening, and we're young, and so we just don't know. So I think it's like you were saying, Johan, it's just that relatability, that it's down to earth, and we just talk about just life stories, and we're not meant to be perfect, especially when we're growing up, but we act like we have to be, and if we make a mistake, the life is over. And so that's what I love about Henning's movies is like, yeah, you can make some wrong decisions, but you can definitely turn your life around. So, and I remember meeting Johan last year. And what I love about what Henning does is that he brings the actors and actresses together. Like we'll do a film shoot where we did a video together, and so we're all interacting and having fun, and we were dancing for one of the shots. So it's like it's a family, it's a tribe, so it's not just, oh, those are actors, and then you have the film crew, and then you have the extra. Henning brings us all together, and we get to have fun, and then we get to film, and then it's amazing to see it on the other end when it's actually all put together, because when you're going behind the scenes. And he loves people coming. You don't even have to be an actor or part of the film. If you're an influencer or a mark, hey, come down and watch us film. I mean, he's just so open with the sets, and things kind of changed now with COVID. But before, it's like he has an open set. You can actually come down and check it out and look at it. And then when you see it in final form, I'm like, oh my gosh, because he saw the big vision, the picture, and putting it together. I only saw just a little bit of part. So it's just been a really amazing process to be able to see Henning work and the crew and just all the movies put together. And, I just think Johan did an amazing job, just to see him from doing it behind the scenes. I remember him doing it on Zoom, practicing and so forth, and now see it. Oh my gosh, it's just amazing.
So what I see this tough edged person in the movie, right? A little tough. And then you meet him in person, or you see him in person, and he's just not that tough person.
Right.
That's why I was saying, how hard was it to pull off something like this? Because you're having to be that person who is kind of like, get over it, come on, but you're that tough love, what I call that tough person that says, okay, but let's go blow off some steam, come on, let's go do something. And you've got to be able to sell it, right? And that's what you're doing. You're 28 years old. You still got a whole life ahead of you. Are you going to continue in acting, or have you seen some other sides of doing movie making that you like?
Right. So I have a seed company, and so I'm also an entrepreneur, but really I'd say acting's that's like the main focus right now, what I'm doing. I'm always looking for projects and always trying to help people. And, you mentioned, like it is tough, but if you love what you're doing and if you're passionate about it, it makes it, it's not a chore. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
When you research these characters, I mean, the thing about acting is you do have to bring a little bit of yourself. You're going to see a little bit of Johan in each character, but I mean, I've never robbed anybody. I've never gone, I've never gone out and snuck into an airport or anything like that. So, but you have to take situations and emotions and, that you might have, and you might have to bring that to the script. But also, I mean, for me, it's all about just preparation and, I mean, if there's a scene, let's say, where I'm really, where I gotta, for example, like there's a scene in the movie where, you saw it in the trailer where we're going in the airport and everything like that. Rather than say, oh God, I'm going into an airport and oh my goodness, I've never done this before. I've never like snuck into this. I imagined it like we were going to Disneyland. Like we're walking through the gate to Disneyland, and like it's cool, and like like you own the place. That's so. I mean, you can take situations like that you've experienced and how you felt in those moments, and then apply them to situations that you've never been in before. You know what I mean?
So that's definitely something that you just have to learn to build on. I want to shift subjects just a little bit because you said something that piqued my interest. You got a seed company. So, and Michelle knows how I get about this. So, all right. So this is still your hour a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your company.
Yeah, so it's called Rainy Day Seed Co. Rainydayseed.co is the website. And, I mean, really, when it comes to me and like doing entrepreneur things, I don't really like to do anything unless it's really going to benefit people. And for me, it's not really about money, because I know money is a byproduct of you just being passionate about what you're doing. The money will show up if your product is good. So we notice like when we buy seeds, they come in like, little 100 packs, and they're way overpriced for what you get. And so we saw kind of a gap in the market where our seed packets are 500 to 1,000 seeds per packet, plus. And everything's, we try to be environmentally focused, and we try to really just focus on quality with value, and also a real emphasis on no fluff. You know what I mean? Like you see these seed packets, and there's all this crazy like artwork, which is cool, and that's fine. But we're just trying to do kind of a straight to the point approach to seeds. And we want to help people, because we know during COVID, it's difficult to get to the grocery store. It's difficult some people don't want to go to the grocery store, and some people want to grow their own foods and be self-sufficient, so that's kind of what our company's based around.
So can you say that site again, or can you post it and I'll share it? This is a passion of mine, is gardening. And actually I struggled this year. It's like my seeds had COVID. We usually like start planting our seeds, in seedling pots indoors in February. And then that way we have a garden ready to go, right, in spring. And none of the seeds came up, not one. And I was shocked. I mean, and it is like, what is wrong with all of our seeds? So I was excited about, okay, if we're going to have to be shut down, we'll get our garden really rocking and rolling this year. And not one seed came up. It was devastating. And then we had to go back and reorder seeds, and then do it all over again. So I'm interested. So if you text this, I will post it.
Yeah, I put it in the private chat.
I got it. I'm going to do this right now, because this is very important in this day and time, is to learn about sustainability, right? But also to help your ecosystem. I can't imagine having that many seeds. But hey,
Well, okay, so the key is, with us, it's like you can buy seeds, and then you can plant a little bit here. You can give some to your neighbors. You can plant some next season. So the idea is, is value. You know what I mean? What value are you getting? And also, you want to make sure the more seeds you have, you can germinate more. I mean, a lot of people, I guess our philosophy is it's better to be able to hold on to some, you know what I mean? For a later time, or if you want to share them, like sharing is caring. That's kind of like,
that's right.
Something that we do. And, for me, I noticed, because that was my thing too. Like, what am I going to do with 1,000 seeds, And, but we had people order them, and they'll post on Instagram, and they'll say, oh my God, I gave some to my niece, and she's doing seeds now. I gave some to my neighbors, and they never knew that they loved gardening. And so, yes, you can, if you have like a really big property or a big area, yes, you can use all the seeds, but or you can save them, or you can share them. That's
well, what happens in my garden, for whatever reason, in the last few years, because of all the construction that has gone on out here in the country, all the deer come in and eat some. So I grow enough for them and for me,
right?
But some of the things, people need to understand to get a really good garden growing, you need some bees that come and pollinate before you.
Yes.
So because if you don't have bees, they don't produce fruit. Another thing that I learned, and I love the idea of a friendship seeds, right? Share the love, share the food. But I tell people, start small. If you like salsa, plant yourself a salsa garden, right? Plant Roma tomatoes in a pot, right? And the peppers, and maybe different kinds of peppers. And you can even plant chives to give it, and cilantro, right?
Absolutely.
You can plant it in a big pot in your patio. And then you've got all of the makings all summer long for homemade salsa, which is actually my family, they don't like canned salsa because I have made homemade salsa.
Oh, homemade salsa is the best.
I just, I'm not very good at roasting my tomatoes, but if you can roast them or grill them a little, sear them, it tastes a whole lot better. But you can grow all of these things in a big pot. Your tomato, your peppers, and everything, one big pot, and have your salsa. And that's a good way to get started because that way you can use it. But the other big gardens, like you're talking about, but throw flowers in there. Everybody goes, well, I can't eat flowers. Oh, yeah, you can. There are a lot of flowers, but flowers are insect repellents. Flowers are also repellents for other elements in the garden that you need to keep out of, and they attract bees. So, what you're doing is amazing. I would love for you to come and talk on our Wednesday show about business and maybe share it in our business world too. So, Michelle, you've got a book coming out.
Yes, actually, today is launch day. So on Amazon, and it's Daily Dose of Declaration. We're actually having a book launch on Thursday, but we're really, excited and thrilled about it. And it came out. It's coming out at the same time as Ann Hero because our book is based on, depression and suicide prevention, and it's just 365 days. To uplift the soul and help people to feel empowered and to really know that they matter. What I'm really learning through, this project, these two projects, is people just want to be seen, they just want to be heard, and they just want to know that they're cared for. And it's amazing how we talk about the electronics, that how they're supposed to bring us together. Like your cell phone, you have it all the time, but they've actually divided us, so just really excited about, the book being released on Amazon today. So we're excited.
Just at perfect timing because, like I said, we need to get out of our electronics a little bit, sit down and read a book. And, one of the things I have missed is we haven't traveled in any, but whenever we go on vacation, we have a spot we go to. I love to read. I'll read 2 books a day. Like at the same time, I'll like flip-flop between 2 of them.
Right.
I'm like that too.
My thing is 2 a day usually while I'm on vacation for 3 days. I take a 3 to 4 day vacation, but I haven't done that this year, so I'm having to force myself to go find book time because my vacation was my book time. And what I love to do is I would read books because we used to interview authors on our other TV show. We were constantly interviewing books that were being released, which, by the way, we're going to be starting here real soon. So you're in the queue. You're in the queue to be interviewed on our new TV show coming up. But this is what makes life, like you said, Johan, is that it makes your mind more creative, right? But it also feeds the brain. People don't understand when the more you read like that, the better you speak, right? I read the National Geographic every month from cover to cover. Why? Because they use words and elements and science that are educated. And that's where, my acting comes from, the National Geographic. But I do want to share one real quick note about Henning and the tribe. He'll take strays in, just like me. I met him at the film festival in Salt Lake, the Sundance Film Festival, which I hope they hold this year. One of the people on our Economics Monday asked if I was going to be attending at the next one. And I hope so, because that's where you meet some interesting people. Henning brought me in like family. Never knew me a day in his life. We bumped in. It was by fate because I was there to interview somebody else and somebody confused me and introduced me to Henning instead. Okay. It was a total, and he was waiting for the person to interview him. And we realized halfway into our conversation, we had the wrong person, but we kept going anyway. So why not, right? So the end result was he ended up inviting me to hang out with the family and go to have dinner. They cooked dinner at the house all together. And I go, wow, this is the coolest family. This is like
right.
Yeah.
People. And so I wanted to stay and be a part. And somehow Henning and I have managed to stay connected, even if we don't have, the same thing going on. Look at us, we're sharing a good vibes. good movies. And unfortunately, I have to wrap up. Where but I thank all of you for watching us. I thank you two for being here, Johan. I just love your character.
Thank you.
I think that it's the element that was necessary in the movie to keep it grounded, right? To make sure that people make the right decisions, regardless of everything else that's going on. Because every person makes a difference, and I don't think people realize the impact that every person makes a difference. And you have to forgive me for chattering on like this, but I'm looking for, we got 200 outros. Actually, I just want to share success. We're up to 62 new TV shows now and growing by 3 a week. And and being down a director, it's going to be one of those things where I'm just going to grab an outro here and say goodbye to everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.
Bye-bye. Thank